What if I told you that your flying dreams aren't fantasies of escape, aren't wish fulfillment, and definitely aren't your brain randomly firing neurons while you sleep, but memories of who you really are when all the limitations fall away? Elena Rodriguez discovered this truth the hard way when her flying dreams became so real, so vivid, so intoxicating that she began to prefer sleep to waking life. And what she found in those soaring moments above the clouds would either save her or destroy her completely. Before we take flight into Elena's extraordinary journey, here's the thing about flying. Some people need a running start, others just need to believe they can. If you're ready to soar with the Dream Decoder, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, by the end of Elena's story, you'll understand why sometimes the most important journeys happen when your feet never touch the ground. 28-year-old Elena Rodriguez had been an artist since she could hold a crayon. Her childhood bedroom walls were covered in sketches of impossible worlds, floating cities, dragons made of starlight, people with wings growing from their shoulder blades. By age 16, she was selling paintings to local galleries. By 22, she had her first solo exhibition in Manhattan. Critics called her work transcendent, otherworldly, a glimpse into realms beyond imagination. But that was 3 years ago. Now, Elena sat in her rent-controlled Brooklyn studio, staring at blank canvases that seemed to mock her with their pristine emptiness. The magic was gone. Every time she tried to paint, the colors felt lifeless. Her imagination, once a boundless cosmos of possibility, had shrunk to the size of grocery lists and rent payments. To pay the bills, she'd started taking commercial work, logos for startups, illustrations for wedding invitations, portraits of people's pets. The money was decent, but each project felt like painting with her soul's hands tied behind her back. That's when the flying dreams began. And with them, the most dangerous temptation Elena had ever faced. The first time Elena flew in a dream, she was standing on the roof of her apartment building, looking down at the bustling streets of Brooklyn 5 stories below. But here's what made this dream different from the typical anxiety dreams about heights. Elena felt no fear. Instead, she felt a tingling sensation in her shoulder blades, as if something was growing there. She spread her arms wide, and something extraordinary happened. The drab, gray Brooklyn streets below suddenly exploded into color. Buildings became jeweled towers. Cars transformed into streams of liquid light. The very air shimmered with possibilities she'd forgotten existed. And then, without any conscious decision, Elena stepped off the edge. But instead of falling, she rose. Flying felt like coming home. Not the awkward, dream logic flying where you have to flap your arms or think really hard about staying airborne. This was effortless, natural, as if gravity was just a suggestion she could politely decline. As she soared above the city, the world below transformed into the landscapes she used to paint. Impossible gardens floating in mid-air, waterfalls that flowed upward into cloud palaces, forests where the trees grew in spirals toward infinity. When Elena woke up, she was reaching toward the ceiling with both arms, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in months, she felt alive. That morning, Elena painted for 6 straight hours. Her brush moved with a confidence she'd forgotten she possessed, creating swirling cloudscapes and impossible architectures that seemed to glow with inner light. When she finally stepped back from the canvas, she'd created something that took her breath away. It was the view from her flying dream, rendered with a technical skill and emotional depth that surpassed anything she'd ever done. But here's where Elena's story takes a dangerous turn. The flying dreams didn't just return, they became the most important part of her day. Night after night, Elena's dreams took her to new realms. She flew through crystal canyons where her voice created visible music. She soared above oceans made of liquid starlight. She danced with creatures that existed only in the space between imagination and reality. And slowly, insidiously, her waking life began to pale in comparison. Why deal with difficult clients when she could paint with light itself in her dreams? Why struggle with earthbound relationships when she could fly alongside beings of pure creativity? Her friend Maria started leaving increasingly worried voicemails. "Elena, I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Are you okay? I drove by your studio. It looks like you haven't left in days." But Elena barely heard these concerns from the waking world. She discovered she could control her flying dreams, extend them, even wake up just enough to write down the visions and then return to the same dream landscape. Her dream journal became more detailed than her real life. Pages and pages of maps showing the geography of impossible worlds. Sketches of aerial cities where she'd learned to build structures out of solidified music. Technical notes about the physics of dream flight. Elena was losing weight. Her skin grew pale from lack of sunlight. But her eyes burned with the intensity that frightened even her. Then came the night that changed everything. As Elena prepared for sleep, setting her intention to return to the Crystal Canyons, she felt something she'd never experienced before. Looking in the bathroom mirror before bed, Elena could swear she looked translucent, as if she was fading from the physical world. That night, as Elena soared through her familiar dreamscape, she saw something that had never appeared before, another figure flying in the distance. As the figure approached, Elena's heart stopped. It was herself, but an older, wiser version. This other Elena's flying was different, less desperate, more purposeful. "You're trying to escape," the older Elena said, her voice carrying on the dream wind with perfect clarity. "But flying isn't about leaving the earth behind. It's about gaining the perspective to see it clearly." "Do you remember why you started painting?" the older Elena asked. "It wasn't to escape the world. It was to show other people the magic that exists right here, right now, in the physical realm." Elena remembered. Her best work had always been about bringing the impossible into the possible. Her paintings didn't just show fantastical worlds, they made viewers believe such worlds could exist right here on Earth. "Flying dreams aren't meant to replace reality," her older self continued. "They're meant to remind you of your unlimited creative potential. But that potential needs to be anchored in the physical world to truly serve its purpose." For the first time in months, Elena looked down at the physical world not as a prison to escape from, but as an infinite canvas waiting for her to paint it with the visions she'd gathered in flight. "The flying is real," the older Elena said with a gentle smile. "But it's not separate from your earthbound life. It's the source of power for it." When Elena woke the next morning, something fundamental had shifted. She still remembered every detail of her flying dreams, but now they felt like fuel rather than escape. She opened her curtains, letting sunlight flood into her studio for the first time in weeks. The physical world looked different now, not drab and limiting, but rich with potential. Elena called Maria back. They talked for 2 hours, really talked, with Elena present and engaged in a way she hadn't been for months. When Elena returned to her easel, her approach had completely transformed. Instead of trying to recreate the pure fantasy of her dream worlds, she began incorporating flying perspectives into scenes from everyday life. Her painting of a woman grocery shopping showed the aisles spiraling upward like aerial highways. A portrait of children playing in a park revealed the playground equipment as launching pads for invisible flights of imagination. Elena started teaching art classes in her studio. She discovered that helping others find their creative wings was just as fulfilling as her own dream flights, maybe more so. 6 months later, Elena had her most successful exhibition ever. The new work was titled Aerial Views of Ordinary Magic. Critics said it showed viewers how to fly without ever leaving the ground. Elena still has flying dreams. But now they're not an escape from her life, they're the source of her greatest contributions to it. Now, I know some of you might be thinking about hitting that like button, but you're worried it might weigh you down. Here's the secret. Engagement actually helps your creativity soar by connecting you with a community of fellow dreamers. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Think of it as your boarding pass for this journey through the landscape of dreams. And tell us in the comments, what do your flying dreams look like? Do you soar above familiar places or explore impossible worlds? Speaking of unlocking your creative potential through dreams, if Elena's flying journey resonated with you, imagine having a complete roadmap to decode not just flying dreams, but 24 other powerful dream symbols that visit you every night. The Dream Decoder, Unlocking the Hidden Messages in Your Sleep, Volume 1 isn't just another dream dictionary. It's your personal translator for the most sophisticated communication system you'll ever encounter, the language of your own subconscious mind. Inside, you'll discover why your dreams of being chased aren't nightmares but invitations to courage. Why falling dreams are actually messages about surrender and growth. And yes, why your flying dreams might be the key to unlocking creative breakthroughs you never imagined possible. Ready to become fluent in the language your soul speaks every night? Grab your copy through the link in the first pinned comment below. Trust me, your dreams have been waiting years for you to finally understand what they're trying to tell you. Psychologically, flying dreams represent our deepest desire for freedom, transcendence, and creative expression. Unlike falling or chase dreams, flying dreams activate the brain's reward centers and creative processing regions simultaneously. Carl Jung identified flying dreams as expressions of what he called transcendent function, the psyche's ability to rise above limiting beliefs and access higher perspectives on our lives. Modern neuroscience reveals that people who frequently dream of flying score higher on tests of creative thinking, spatial intelligence, and what psychologists call openness to experience. But Elena's story illustrates a crucial point. Flying dreams become problematic when they represent escape from reality rather than gaining perspective on it. The healthiest flying dreamers use their aerial insights to enhance their grounded lives. Across cultures, flying dreams have been recognized as spiritual experiences. Shamanic traditions speak of soul flight, the ability of consciousness to transcend physical limitations and access higher realms of wisdom. Tibetan Buddhism includes flying in dreams as part of advanced dream yoga practices, where practitioners learn to maintain consciousness during sleep to explore the nature of reality itself. Many esoteric traditions teach that flying dreams are memories of our soul's natural state, unlimited, creative, free from the constraints that seem so solid in waking life. The key insight from mystical traditions is that flying dreams aren't about escaping the physical world, but about remembering our unlimited creative potential and bringing that perspective back to transform ordinary reality. Tonight, millions of people will spread their wings in dreams. Some will wake grateful for the freedom. Others, like Elena learned, will discover that the real gift isn't the escape, it's the perspective. Thank you for soaring with us through Elena's extraordinary journey. Remember, fellow dream decoders, you were born with wings. Your flying dreams are just reminding you how to use them. Sweet dreams, and may your flights inspire your waking world.